all you wonderful people, and welcome to the Serenity Podcast with me, Liz Clancy. If you are struggling with confidence and finding crafting your identity a struggle, then this is the podcast for you. This is a place where no judgments will be made, and you'll be allowed to unwind and forget any anxieties and stress, as well as learn a variety of small tips that will go a long way in helping you find your self-assurance and your purpose in this world. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the impact that toxic beauty standards can have on each and every one of us and our self-esteem. And I'll be discussing this with the amazing Kat Coleman, so stay tuned to hear what she has to say on finding your passion beyond beauty. Before we begin, we have our weekly inspirational quote, which couldn't be more fitting for our topics today, and these words were said by Hollywood icon Audrey Hepburn. For beautiful eyes, look for the good in others. For beautiful lips, speak only words of kindness. And for poise, walk with the knowledge that you are never alone.
So as I said, today's episode is all about beauty standards and how society's emphasis on what is on the outside can deeply impact how we feel on the inside. First of all, however, we need to understand what exactly beauty standards are. They are a set of traits and assets that are ingrained into people in order to increase their attractiveness. Currently in 2024, the feminine beauty ideal is that a woman has to have an hourglass figure with a flat stomach as well as slim legs, big breasts and curvy hips. For the face, there has to be a level of symmetry with a small nose, sharp jawline, plump lips and flawless skin, as well as smooth long hair that only appears at the top of your head. Yeah, no pressure though, ladies. These massive lists of expectations and standards, it's inevitable that we as women wouldn't perceive ourselves as worthy, because unfortunately we live in a society where looks do in fact matter. Lookism is the idea that we are being judged constantly on physical appearance, which is usually brought on by societal notions of beauty. This being said, our notions of what we find attractive does and has shifted over time. For example, in the Roaring Twenties, women wanted to look extremely slender and thin, with short hair and almost an androgynous look, which was an extreme contrast to the decade before, where women in the 1910s wanted to cinch their waist so tight in order to create an hourglass figure. So the sad fact is that you could be tirelessly following these trends and altering yourself to fit the current ideal, then wake up the next morning and it's completely changed and you realise it was all in vain. So something I've noticed as well, and I also find this really interesting, is that women's beauty standards are the strictest at a time when there's like a new wave of feminism. Like, for example, I mentioned that the Roaring Twenties obsessed over the skinny flapper look, and this came after the suffragette movement, and this similar fondness of slimmer bodies appeared in the 60s when women's liberation movement was on the rise. So it's almost like the patriarchy wants us to doubt ourselves and restrict a woman's worth to her looks. Deconstructing toxic beauty standards is nothing new, as recently the body positivity movement has brought attention to this. The body positivity movement is the promotion of all body types as equal and beautiful, regardless of the size or shape. This movement has allowed people to feel more comfortable in their own skin, as well as calling out dangerous diet culture that promotes disordered eating, as well as companies that exclude different body types, such as Victoria's Secret and Brandy Melville. So it seems like these toxic beauty standards are a thing of the past now, right? Right? Bullying and body shaming are still predominant, and people try to go against the body positivity movement by saying it promotes unhealthy habits and obesity. However, unless you're a doctor, you can't just guess whether a person's healthy just by their body type, and there's more than just one way that a healthy body can look like. Even though I'm defending the body positivity movement here, and they have made some brilliant contributions, I have to say that this campaign is not perfect. Body positivity almost ends up being a form of toxic positivity, which is incredibly harmful as it suppresses negative emotions. This movement sets up the expectation that no matter what, we have to fully accept our bodies, and anybody who doesn't has failed themselves. And within body positivity movement, there's still a massive preoccupation with looks, and it promotes beauty treatments such as plastic surgery, and it says that it's your choice and it makes people feel better, even though the plastic surgery industry literally makes profits off of people's insecurities. This also means that body positivity movement ignores the reasons why negative body image may exist, such as gender inequality and systems of oppression, and there's an air of performative activism where you campaign for something because of how it looks, rather than what it achieves. So what can we do to make ourselves feel good? Many people have moved towards the body neutrality movement instead of body positivity. This is the idea that we can exist without displaying too much thought about our physical appearance. This has proven to be more effective as across a series of experiments, women's body images improved when they realised that the people close to them appreciated who they were instead of what they looked like. Body neutrality has also been used in therapy for eating disorders in order to find a balance between dieting and exercise. What it does is it makes people feel thankful for their body that they were born in and what you can do with it rather than what it looks like. This means that when you accept your body, you realise that you are more than your body. You're a human with emotions, ideas and aspirations, and looks can only get you so far. It's also okay if you want to better yourself, such as losing some weight or trying some new skincare, as long as you recognise that it's not your only worth in this world. Body neutrality also offers people to build their confidence as well as realising that having doubts is normal and goes hand in hand with self-assurance. Also, confidence and charisma are attractive features of people. Some smaller tips in order to increase your confidence include challenging any negative thoughts about yourself by asking, would I talk about a friend in this way? Whenever you're talking down about yourself. Also, avoid comparing yourself to others. For example, you can reduce your screen time since a lot of us compare ourselves to the seemingly perfect influencers, but sometimes they don't even show the full picture. Practice saying no too, because you're constantly agreeing with everyone. It can be draining and present you as passive. We want to be as assertive as we can possibly be. It's also perfectly fine to have different views than others, and if someone is making you doubt who you are and your opinions, they are not worth your time. Now, we have an interview with someone who has so much confidence and assurance and has used that to create a successful career in performing arts, and it is none other than the amazing Kat Coleman. Do you think that looks matter, and why?
I think that looks matter in certain circumstances, in certain industries. For example, in the arts, looks do have an importance because you might be going for a role and the way you look will have a big impact on whether you would get it or not. So hence they're looking for a style. So in that sense, they do matter. To look nice as well, just generally in any profession or in life, might make you feel good about yourself. If you feel like you look your best, then it might give you confidence to do things. So for example, I feel more confident if I've got my makeup on because I feel I look my best. So I do think they do help and they do matter to a degree.
When you were finding work, did you ever feel like you were being judged on your looks rather than your abilities?
Yes, completely, because I'm obviously in the performing industry. So it is a little bit different than if I'd have been going for a job at the supermarket. I don't think looks so much would be an issue, but when you're in the entertainment industry, and definitely when I was doing it, it was very much about how you looked.
When and how did you find your passion for performing art?
I've always loved performing arts since I was a little girl. Always. I've never really wanted to do anything else. Even from like a little tiny girl, I was dancing.
When did you think that beauty standards were more severe then or now?
I think they're hard now in the sense that we have the social media. So people are comparing themselves to people that aren't necessarily real, maybe filtered images of females' faces, which lead, especially young girls growing up that are living in that world using social media, like a false impression of what someone should look like. So I think now it's harder in that respect, as it's not necessarily real. Although people are a lot more forgiving in certain ways nowadays than when I was growing up. I use this example of me being in entertainment for especially musical theatre roles, dance roles, any type of performance roles. It was about your face, your figure and how you looked more than maybe it is now. So a bit of both really.
Why do you think that beauty standards have been implemented into society in the first place?
In society, they're always drawn to something that looks nice. So I've never really wanted to do anything else. That might be anything that clothes, a car. People are drawn to something that looks attractive. And I think that's why the standards are higher. People love to look at someone that's attractive. It's a natural thing.
When did you realise the power that beauty standards have?
Probably going for different jobs and going for work. Definitely. And even now to a degree, when I'm at different events and we're looking at employing, because now I'm employing people to work in my production company, the image of somebody, their looks are still quite important. Not necessarily to be prettier or slimmer, but just to look like you look after yourself, that you care about your appearance, that you care about how you look.
What should you do if you feel too pressured by these standards?
Well, I think a lot of it, like I said before, is social media. And I think if young people of today feel pressured, they've got to try and remember that a lot of that isn't real. Years and years ago, when people had more magazines and they would filter, they would airbrush images, and people would think, oh God, that woman's so beautiful, or that guy's so handsome. But really, they've been airbrushed. It's only what people are doing now with filtering. And you've got to try and remember that a lot of that isn't real. People don't look like that.
Where do you find the confidence to reject the idea that beauty is all worth?
Because you've got to believe in yourself. And at the end of the day, beauty's, it's about what's inside that really counts, because beauty and aesthetics from the outside only last so long. And what really counts is if you're happy in yourself.
Some really brilliant points have been made by Kat. I think that one way to craft a positive perception about yourself is that you have to recognise the positives about yourself. One way to do this is by listing all the positive qualities about you and to celebrate your own successes. This means you can also find gaps where you need to improve, as well as praising your own strengths. Accepting and giving compliments is a big one because it boosts the confidence of both people in the conversation. When someone gives you a compliment, don't back down or say something along the lines of, "Oh, this old thing?" but rather say, "Thank you," or "That was really kind of you." And by giving compliments to strangers, you could possibly be ending up creating a new friendship. Ask people what they think about you, because I guarantee that they'll see you in a much more positive way than you might think, and you might find that what you don't like about yourself, others might find to be quite good. Now, these smaller changes can have a big impact on your self-esteem, but here is Kat again to give us a more in-depth look into gaining confidence. How did you find the confidence and the courage to pursue your goals?
When I was very young, I had lots of confidence, and I think when you sort of start getting into teenage years, you lose a little bit. And I was a bit more less confident. So when I was about 14, 15, I was less confident. But because I really wanted to do it so much, I just kept going and going. And then the more experience I got, then you gain the confidence.
What advice would you give to someone who's about to start working on their dream career?
Well, definitely don't give up. Keep believing in yourself, because that's the biggest thing. Know that you can do it. Work on it. Don't just think, oh, I'm good at this and that's that. Keep working on it all the time. Don't just think, I know everything. Look at people that can help you, people that have done the job. Take advice from things, from other people. Offer to do things for free, just to be around the industry, whether it's arts or whatever it might be. Just do anything you can to be involved in it. Just don't give up if it's what you really love. Because if you give up and then you look back in 40 years' time, you'd be disappointed that you didn't try.
Whenever you feel slightly insecure, how do you deal with those fears?
Think about all the positive things, not the negative things. And just think, well, tomorrow's another day. Don't give up, I'm going to move on, and just move on from it.
What are some tips in creating a resilient personality?
Try and be positive. I know it's hard sometimes. Try and be positive. Don't dwell on the negative. Try and think about it in your head and think if things are bringing you down and making you feel negative, think about what it is actually that's making you negative. What's the worst thing that could happen and how you deal with it, and then just move on.
Who is someone that you look up to for inspiration and advice for confidence growth?
Well, obviously I've got my heroes, my icons that I would look up to professionally, because they always seemed very confident. But probably family, like my mum and my nan. My nan, she's no longer with me, but she was very confident. So looking up to people like your family that help you.
How do you maintain confidence but don't allow yourself to end up showing arrogance?
It's very hard in the industry, because you to be a little bit overconfident is a good thing in my world. But just remember, when you're speaking to people, just to be kind, and that's the show. So that's fine to be confident and look like you're very confident on stage, but then when you come off, to not be a spiteful or a nasty person or believe it off stage. That's the tip.
Do you have any more points or tips about confidence and finding your purpose that we haven't mentioned already?
Confidence is about how you feel about yourself. If you feel good about yourself, then you'll have more confidence. And also confidence in your art is knowing your craft. So if you understand and you know what you're doing, then you'll have more confidence. So it's just about believing in yourself and knowing that you've worked at your craft, whatever it might be. It might not be in the profession I'm in, it could be in anything. If you learned it and you know what you're doing, then you should have the confidence to believe in yourself.
Finding the courage to pursue your dreams is not an easy task. However, finding this will give you inner strength no matter how many setbacks there might be and how much adversity you could face. Firstly, you have to realise that fear does not go away, but you can control it. It's a natural function of the brain, and all dreams have some inherent fear within them, but when you come out of your comfort zone, you end up recognising your fears, yet completing a task anyway. Also, persistence is key, and success will not happen overnight. But what will help is having the best people around you that will support and encourage you with your dream, and realise that their words have so much more significance over the words of the people who doubt you. How you perceive each challenge ahead also reflects your strength, because if you see them quite negatively and try to avoid them, you won't grow. But if you value the challenges, they'll be easier to overcome and also to face in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in to Serenity Podcast with Liz Clancy, as well as a big thank you to Kat Coleman for being a part of this and giving some worthwhile advice to help you in your confidence journey. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok if you want to support her, as well as the performing arts school, Cheshire Performers. Next week, we'll be discussing how to become the best leader you can be, as well as how to build up communication skills that will help you in the workplace, school, within any group setting if you ever feel a bit awkward and out of place, and we'll be able to help you adapt to any situation and express and utilise your confidence. You can listen to the Serenity Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and these episodes are also available on YouTube as well. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and until next time, stay safe and remember how appreciated you are.